There we go. All right, testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Anyways, today we're doing an E7. This is an old Proto 2000, and they have. I shouldn't say old. It's a newer one in terms of it's got a 9-pin or an 8-pin NMRA slot in the back. Typically, it's hard to tell from this particular one, but usually the 8 pins, if you would go ahead and put a decoder in there, it might work. The one thing that I've seen in a lot of places is that the pin out is incorrect for the lighting. Now, you could pull this. You could put an 8-pin connector in there. I don't know if the lighting is good, bad, or indifferent, because you know what I do? I just cut the whole doggone thing out. So we're just gonna clip everything out right here and throw this board away. Now you might say, well, whoa! They went to a lot of trouble to make sure that all the lighting works and the engine works and everything in the 9-pin, and yeah. The issue is that they have provided here, and it's hard to see, but I'll zoom in on this. Okay, zoom in on this particular section and point it out to you. This device right here, right, that particular device is a power SCR or a power transistor, and then this is a capacitor that's here. And between the two of these and the resistors and the other logic that's in here, this is an analog circuit that does a blinker. Why? Well, because up here in the nose, and you can't see it from there, I'll pull this out in a little bit and we can look at it. It's got a two filament bulb in here. Okay. So when you're working with this, it goes blink, 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 and it's doing the two bulbs to make it look like it's a Mars light, okay? But it's not, okay? So because today's DCC systems have got a Mars gyro light and any other kind of funky light that you want to put in there already pre-programmed, and it is done digitally, right? You don't need this circuit. And not only that, but if you try to use this plug, right, it's only got 2 functions on it. This is actually 2 bulbs in the front, and then there's got another bulb, and then there's got another, so you don't have enough outputs for it anyhow, and it doesn't use the 2 anyhow for the 2. So in any case, it's time to get rid of it. So I just cut it out, right, and you'll see in a second how we're going to go ahead and put this in. Now we're going to put sound in this one, I think. So I'll have to look at my chart and see what it says. Yeah. Doesn't really even say anything about that. Maybe I better check him out. I'll call him and see. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and get started so that you can see what's going on. I'm going to take this out. So there's one big screw here for the SCR, or for the power transistor that's there, and then there's 2 little screws here. All right, and now we're gonna, because it's exposed, so you'll see this in a second here. Didn't get that big screw out. So now what happens is, now it's totally exposed here. Oop, did I get all the wires? Oh, I missed this black wire. Because it is totally exposed here, I can't even put another decoder on there. So if I was to try to put another decoder on there, it would kind of flop and be there with the rest of the stuff. So what I want is I want to put a piece of something across here. And so I save all of those, those little credit cards that they send you in the mail, that, the pieces of that. Well, you could use that, and I save those and, cut them up. Or you could just use a card. It doesn't matter. Save one of the screws if you want. A lot of times I'll just cut a card to the right size and then I'll just glue it on there. Not anything special. Yeah, just a little platform to put it on is all you need. Okay, so I'll do that. Okay then, so what I did was I took what looks like a credit card. I need to see if that, you get closer to it so you can see that the numbers are there, that somebody sent me in an email or in a piece of junk mail, and so I just never decided to use that. And so because it's got a fairly decent piece of plastic there, and we're going to use that to hold the decoder up. And so we're going to just put a simple decoder in for this one. So the next thing we need to do is figure out which wire goes to where. Now, you don't rely on the color coding, although in this case I happen to know that this is fairly consistent, that the red goes to the red, right, which is the right rail. And right rail is going forward this direction, right? So the right rail is red. The left rail is black. Now, interestingly enough, we got two blacks here. So which one is right? Well, we come over here, or which one is left? We come over here and we find out that one, and it's all tied down and tied together. So I picked the right one. That was lucky. And we also have one coming from the back on the left, but it has been cut short because that's the way it was. And we'll figure out a way to make a hole in here or something so that we can tie these two together. So let's decide what decoder we're going to use for this, and we'll be right back. Okay then, so we've touched base with the customer, and looks like he wants some sound, and so we're ready to go. This is what I recommend. And so we can see that we're going to have plenty of room to put the sound decoder on the back of this. And let's get started then with that. I can't really put the speaker in until after we finish the shell. I've got the shell started. We're going to have to do some extra stuff to it before we put the speaker in. But let's go ahead and start with the decoder. Alrighty then, so even though we're going to put a speaker in the top, and it's going to be over top of where the decoder is, there'll be plenty of room. You can see this. There'll be plenty of room for it to be there. So that's what we're looking for physically. That's the dimensions. This is a Tsunami 2. This is the brand new one from our friends at Soundtracks, and we're not going to use some of the pieces on this. We are going to probably put a current keeper under. We have plenty of room for that. We may even put it to the one side, so we'll take a look at that. Ordinarily, what I would do here is go ahead and glue this to this using double-sided sticky tape. Now, double-sided sticky tape also will give me the advantage. Yeah, I use a lot of it. Also give us the advantage that we can unglue it or unsticky it when we need to. So let's go ahead and put that on there, and we can get started with putting in the wires, right? So the first thing to do is apply power, which is the red and black as we talked about from the track. So we'll put this here. Now, this particular, the way this is set up, there is no particular upside right or upside down here. The decoder itself, this one does not have a heat sink plate on there, although typically the flatter side would go down like this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do it that way. There's no heat dissipation here. This is a plastic piece we put in there. If we needed heat dissipation, or if it overheats, we could replace this with a piece of metal. Again, doesn't create any problem for us, but we would certainly do that. Now we've got all these wires coming up here, but guess what? That's right, they don't go all the way to the front. Well, they come pretty close to being all the way to the front, but not quite. So we're going to take advantage of that. But for the first two, the red and the black, we're going to pull those apart here, red and black, out of the bundle. And we're going to go ahead and marry those together. So here's the red. And as you can see, we got the two reds here. So red, red, red and red. And let's get those together and put them, solder them up. Okay then, so as is usually the case, as we start to put things together, we realize that maybe we need to come back and look at this again in a different way. If you notice that the wires come up about midway here, so I had put these together and trying to bring them around from the back, just didn't seem right. So I went ahead and put two holes, so you can see them here and here, right? So that we can now bring these wires up through that extra little baffle that I made. Right, so bring the red one up on the right side and bring the black one up on the left side. That also solves another problem in that the black wire was short, too short, as a matter of fact. So we're going to go ahead and thread that through. And then we're going to go ahead and put it back and put the screws back in, and now we can start doing the wire. Oh, I put the red one in the wrong hole. We'll get that right. All right, you get the idea. There we go. There we go. All right, now let me start working on that. So one of the things that you'll notice here is that I just took just the tiniest bit off of the ends of these, because when we apply the soldering to it and we try to tin these, you'll see that the wire itself, or the insulation itself, will start to draw back. So if you can see this, see how it draws back on there, just like that. So you don't really need to do much in terms of cutting the insulation back for these wires. There are some harder insulation, and you can kind of tell by how flexible the insulation is, but if it is Teflon coated, the Teflon is a very hard insulation, and it does need to be cut back. But this kind of, I guess, PVC type of insulation is easy to just scrape off the end with your finger even, and then you can put them all together and just kind of twist them around a little bit and throw some solder on them after you have tinned them. Tinning is a good idea. It saves a lot of time. That's hot. Kind of hold them together with something else other than, oh, that's not a good pair of pliers. Get a pair of pliers that mean something here. Let's go with these. I love these pliers. These are actually meant to spike. Let's see if I got it. Did I get it? Yeah, kind of. Okay. Yeah, they're meant as spiking pliers. These you can buy these. These are Xuron. You can tell they're dirty, but the pliers themselves are modified from what Xuron makes. They have a little T in them, and you can see that. These are ones that I sell here from Micromart. I'm a Micromart dealer, and so I actually sell at cheaper prices than what you can get from Micromart. So look for those. These are pliers that will hold a spike in their jaws, but they're great because they're flat. They have a flat nose. They have a place where you can put a wire. You can bend it to do all kinds of stuff with it, to make handrails and and you can flatten stuff with it. So I love these pliers. They're good, and they're small too, which means they don't take up a lot of desk space. All right, let's go do the same with the black. So the gray and the orange leads then are the next most important, and typically they're set up for the motor. I mean, they are the motor, but usually the gray goes to the black and the orange goes to the red, and so you can see why they would set those colors up. Because they're very similar. They're not black and red, but you already used black and red. In any case, the important thing here is to make sure that the polarity is right. So is it absolutely necessary? Well, no, it's not, because you can always change the polarity inside of the decoder from the software. But the key here is that we want to make sure that it's going in the right direction in case you would run this on an analog layout. Now, is everybody going to run it on an analog? No. However, we want to do what it was intended to be, so we don't have to fool with the CVs and that kind of thing. Not unnecessarily fool with the CVs. So the way you do this is you test it, right, with a test it with a bench meter. We've got a bench power supply here, and red is positive and black is negative. And so we're going to take the negative one and apply it to the black lead. And again, this is going to end up being the gray lead if this works, right? And then the orange or red lead here for the motor. Now when we touch it, it's going to move, and what we want to make sure that it's going this direction. If the polarity is correct, it's going forward. So let's try it. Oh, aha! So what we have learned is that the way the wires are color coded here is backwards. And what that means then is, for our purposes, we're going to connect the orange wire to the black lead. Yes, which is counterintuitive, but we have done, by doing our test this way, we have found that in fact the color code is backwards. So let's go ahead and do those two. Okay, then we're done with the basic motor leads and the leads for the rail pickup. So we've done those four. It's pretty straightforward at this point. This is consistent with many of the ways that you would hook up just about any engine if you were going to hardwire it. Now the next part is a little bit different on this engine, which is the lights. So we've got a nose light, and we've got a gyrating headlight. So this light that is right here on the nose, hard to see there, but it actually has two filaments in it. It's a dual bulb, and we're going to go ahead and clip that out. We don't need that particular one, and there is none at the bottom. And for this particular model, there happens to be a separate spot here for a nose light, and also on the picture that I'm supposed to be doing, there is a light here on the front door, as well as one at the top for the gyro light. So we're going to actually do both of those, and you'll see in just a second how we accomplish that and how we hook it up to the system. Alrighty then, we're in the home stretch on this one, and I've finished the shell. So this had to be hand painted, and yeah, it's all right. And I had to put the windows in, and now we're going to do the number board. So if you've seen me do this before, I apologize, but let's take a look close in now on the number board. And what I've done is it's supposed to be white. It's supposed to be white with black numbers. So here's a picture of the real thing, right? Prototype. And you see the 573 there. So 573 is the number that we're doing. I have printed these out, and I'm going to show you how I take a little bit of the white glue, this glue, which is Tester's clear parts cement, and we've talked about this before, and take a little bit, just a dab of that. This is my kind of mixer here, and you can use that dab now to pick up the numbers like this. Do you see that? So you can just use the glue, right? Just touch the glue on a toothpick and you can pick the number up. Okay? Oh! Then you can glue it to the... Alright. Alright. Be careful here. Now pick the number up and we're going to place it right where the window is, the number on the window. Right? And so I've carefully cut that out, right, to be the right size. You see it? Okay, now, again, it's not glued on there yet, but I'm about ready because everything is all set to do it. So all I'm going to do again is take a little dab, right? Little dab of glue. Right? I'm going to put the glue on the window here, like this. I'm just going to smear it on the window. Right? I'm going to pick up the number, and I'm just going to put it right there. Now it's just parts cement, right? So it's going to stay there, and we're going to center this and make sure that it's on there perfect, right? Oh, got plenty of time, he says, as he sticks it to his finger. All right, I'm going to quit looking through the screen. I'm going to do this like I would really do it. Take my glasses off. There you go. Make sure that it's on there perfect. There you go. Now we're not done with this yet, but we want the glue underneath to dry. I'm going to attempt to do this on the other side. I'm probably going to regret it because the other one's probably going to come off. But I wanted to show you how I correct for the size. So we're going to put this where you can see it here. And I'm going to show you the one that I'm working on, right there. And what I want to do is I want to correct for the size. Well, if I take and I put it up there, what I find out is that, first of all, this is square, right? And it's got a little bit too much on the top, a little bit too much on the bottom, right? And the corners are kind of rounded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit off, right? And again, you need a very sharp knife. If you're using an X-Acto knife, make sure that you use a new one, right? We're going to just take just a littlest bit off the top, because that looks like the top's got a little bit more than the bottom. Just going to take just a little bit off of it, not much. Maybe 1/1000th, maybe. Now, if you mess this up, you can just print another one, right? Okay. Now we're going to take the edges off. I'm just going to cut the corners off. That's all I'm going to do. You may say, what are you doing? I'm cutting the corners off. I know that didn't look like the corner came off. Maybe it didn't. Cutting the corners off. Sorry if this is boring you, right? It's boring work. Okay, I'm cut this corner off here. All right, now let's take another fitting. Let's see if we can fit it. Again, using a little bit of glue, right? Touching the face, turning it up on the end there, right? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Just sitting right there, that looks good. All right, so now let's go ahead and put some glue on there. Right, so now I'm going to put a lot of glue on there. Smear it across the glass like that, right? Now pick up the number, right? Twist it, put it where it's supposed to go. Set it in on the glass, move it around to where it's just perfect. And there you go. Huh? Not bad, not bad. Oh, the other one's still there. Yay! Looks like it might have moved just a little bit. Just see, it's not staying on there. So what we want to do is we want to try that one again. Righty, you betcha, huh? All right, now we're ready to put the speaker in. We're ready to put some numbers on, so we'll let that dry to the side. We can't really put the speakers in yet, so what we're going to do next is we're going to put the lights in. So we got a bunch of wires. I just holding those with some tape. I wouldn't use black tape. This is a temporary thing. All right, we get tons of wires now that we're going to connect to lights. So our next project is to put lights in the front here. Okay, I want to put 4 lights. I want to put one at the top, one here at the running lights. I want to put 2 on each side for the number boards, and we're going to start with that. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is take this off so I can get the light structure in there. And if you look at it, it's got this is molded in. I've got the whole grouping, everything is just kind of sitting on there. There are 2 screws right here, right, and right here. So I'm going to take those 2 screws out, and the whole thing lifts off. So let me do that real quick. You can see that. Okay, and this whole shroud comes off. So now we can work with this. We need to take the plastic, clear plastic off, so I can get the LEDs in there. There's a couple ways to do that. One is just to pull it off. They have been melted on. The plastic has been melted on. We can go ahead and put some other plastic cement in there. I'm just kind of twisting it a little bit to get it off. Don't want to break it. There we go. All right. So it's got little tabs on it, go through the holes. Now we're ready to go ahead and make the little setup. So I'm going to do that and get ready for that, and that'll be next.